All right, all right. Welcome, 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 everyone, to another amazing episode of Beyond Boardroom Business. I'm your host, Coach Stephanie, and tonight I have another amazing guest, and she's Business Coach C. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and bring her forward, and you all are going to love this interview. So, just hold on tight and welcome, Business Coach C. How are you tonight?
I'm great, Coach Stephanie. I'm
How
doing
you?
amazing. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no problem. I mean, your bio is amazing. I love the different things that you do. And so, please share with us what is it that you do for businesses?
So, I am a small business consultant and growth strategist by trade, but my niche is particularly startup businesses. So, I focus on supporting, helping new entrepreneurs and businesses within their first 0 to 3 years of their venture. I love and I enjoy helping those entrepreneurs get their businesses off the ground, become profitable, and start moving into the stages of becoming sustainable businesses. So with my for-profit organization, which is Cynthia Ellis Management, that's what I absolutely love doing for entrepreneurs.
Wow. And so what got you started? What made you care about small businesses?
So when I started Cynthia Ellis Management, I was really I was working a 9 to 5 myself, and I had two small daughters at the time, which are much older. They're adults now. But when I started the business, I started it for financial freedom. I started it for more freedom of time to enjoy life and to be able to get out of debt, to be able to pay bills comfortably, to be able to set my bills up on draft and not have to worry about getting those NSF charges that so many of us, if you were like me and in that same position, that's kind of what we were going through at the time. And so I started my business back in 2013 to kind of erase all of that past and to start fresh and start new. So when I first started, I was coaching just doctors. I was helping physicians open doctors' offices, improve their operations with how things were going. And then as COVID got closer, what I saw was that small businesses that were outside of just healthcare needed a hand. They also needed to learn how to get started. What were the procedures? How were they going to do it? And how could they possibly become successful? And what type of funding options were available to them? So, as I began to learn more about what it took to start all businesses in general, I expanded my services and just kind of opened my doors to everyone to say, I'm not just here coaching doctors anymore. I'm here for any entrepreneur who needs the help. And out of
Wow.
that vision, it just kind of grew into what I call my mission now, which is really, I believe that one entrepreneur can change their community, and communities in turn change the economy, and economies change the world. So I still am, I don't know if some people would call it naive, but I still do believe that one person could change the world and make a huge impact for many, many people. And that's what I try to do, Coach Stephanie.
That's beautiful. Wow. And it's so true. I always say each one reach 10. And we have to do our part to make this a better place. Why
Mhm.
not? And I really appreciate that you take the time to care about businesses and want to help them succeed. I mean, it's room at the top for everybody, right? And so,
Absolutely.
uh, so walk me through your process. How do you find your customers?
So there are a few ways that I find my customers. One of them particularly, and I think my favorite way to find customers is by building community, right? And building
Yes,
community for me looks like utilizing my social media platforms to connect with people, in
yes,
person opportunities to go and network, to attend events, to
yes.
attend amazing podcasts like yours, and
Thank you.
extend an arm in whatever direction I can. I would say 80% of my clients probably are coming from referrals at this point, since I've been in the game
Oh,
for over a decade. And that's how I love it. That's how I love it, because lead generation is hard. Lead generation is
Yes.
hard, and it's
Very
particularly
challenging.
hard these days because there's we live in an information age, so there's a tons of information being shared at all given points of data at any given point in time. And so what you have to find is space within time and within these platforms to kind of interject your message. And that's what a lot of paid advertisements and things do. So outside of building community, community is my number one spot. But outside of building community, I would say it is social media and other ads.
Okay.
SEO is a huge opportunity for me as far as lead generation. Those are my main
Yes.
avenues for it. So yeah, that's where I get my leads, and that's where I find my people. But community is always my number one, because business is human enterprise. And once people can connect with
Yeah.
your experience, I think you've pretty much gotten someone that you can help, someone that you can truly serve.
Right. You are so on it. Now, do you pay for paid ads on the social media, or how do you work the social media?
Absolutely. So I believe in a hybrid of organic and paid, right? Because organic
Okay.
leads, organic leads are more where my community is. And so those are people who resonate with your message without being pushed toward you by an algorithm. So those people are the ones that I
Wow.
get organically. But now paid ads are worth the time. Organic sharing takes a lot of time, but it really does bring you closer to your niche market. It just doesn't do it quickly. But now paid ads, the
Okay.
other part of it that I do take advantage of, paid ads bring you in front of a large audience really quickly. And the better you can narrow that down in niche and be more specific with how you target that ad, the better results you get. So I believe in using a hybrid of both forms of digital or non-traditional marketing, you would call it, because both can give you good results as long as you are able to identify your niche really well and you know how to speak to your target market. So that's where I try to focus on with the advertisements. Um, I'm not really big on, though, non-traditional means of marketing. So or traditional means of marketing. So traditional means of marketing are, the printed advertisements, the business cards, the billboards, the radio ads. Um, I'm not a huge fan, and I don't utilize very much traditional marketing because traditional marketing gets expensive. I don't know when's the last time anybody's maybe ordered like brochures or business cards or even tried to invest in a billboard, but that is a huge expense that is very hard to measure what audience you're reaching with that. So I tend to steer away from traditional marketing methods and stick to the digital.
Okay, and that's very smart because this is the digital age right now. That's where everything is going. Uh, Now, when you speak on community, how do you network?
Oh, networking is it's a bit automated. It starts out as automated just because of the sizes of the audience you can reach. So I do have a virtual assistant that I've hired to help me take on that workload, right? Because time is the one source I can't get back. So once it's gone, I don't have hours to spend on social media. So what I do is I take advantage of a virtual assistant. And what that virtual assistant does for me is the groups that I've created online, once folks have started to join those groups, then there's automated features that turn on to welcome them to the groups. And then the virtual assistant is going to kick in behind that and send them a personalized message from my account, welcoming them to the group. So it's a lot of behind the scenes work in that. But and then there are scripts that go along with certain parts of it that lead to actually converting them into paying customers or building relationships or joining podcasts or making new friends or extending an arm, however it goes. But that's pretty much how my social media goes. There's usually always a point though that my VA gets to that's a little bit too personal. And when folks are really ready to start
Okay.
talking business and issues, that's when I hop in and they're actually talking to me. And I don't even know if folks realize that they're probably not talking to me in the beginning. But I think by some point, usually about 70% of the way through, I'm usually one on one in a conversation with them.
Yes. And I must say that your assistant reached out to me to get you on the show, and she was very professional, and yeah, you did really good with that. Yeah, I
Awesome.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you. I need that
Yeah.
feedback, so
Oh
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, because virtual assistants aren't, you need to find someone that flows with you, and
Mhm.
you definitely found the right one for you. So that's very encouraging for people
Yes.
because uh, virtual assistants to me are better than an actual assistant because they can do everything you need that has to do with virtually online or but do you have her make phone calls for you as well, or what's the scope of your relationship with a virtual assistant as opposed to just hiring someone?
Right, and I think that's a really good question, Coach Stephanie, and I'm glad you asked that because she is the second virtual assistant that I've worked with. When I hired
Oh,
my first
okay.
virtual assistant, I was still trying to figure out ways that they could contribute to my organization that would help generate revenue. So it would pay their salary,
Yeah.
right? And it took some, and we muddled around, but that first VA that I had was kind of like it was really a beta test for me. And that really taught me is I need to have my processes and my standard operating procedures a lot more laid out and a lot more in alignment with my goals before I'm bringing someone on to help me do this work. And so the first virtual assistant I had, she was actually making the calls for me and different things like that. But the strategy just was not there. The foundation was not there. And so we parted after probably about close to 5 to 6 months of trying to work things out until it took me realizing, okay, I need to restructure and then I can revisit VAs. So I literally did not hire another VA until close to about a year later, which is the one that I
Wow.
have now. And so, having restructured my processes, that VA does not have to make phone calls for me. It's literally done virtually, either through DMs or email contacts, and goes directly to my calendar from there. So I was able to eliminate a lot of steps that I had included before that I didn't even need. So we can get to the source of finding solutions for people faster. So the scope of her practice for work with me is really lead generation is her priority. And that's what I let her know, help me generate leads. And once we generate the leads, they are put into these funnels. Here are the processes to convert them to paying customers or to build relationships with them. So really lead generation is her scope. And that would go from anywhere from content generation and posting and scheduling
Oh,
to DMing clients to emailing clients and partners back and forth and staying in communication with me on our project management platform, which is Slack.
okay, okay. Now, is your virtual assistant from America or from another country?
She is actually from the Philippines. She is from the
Okay, yeah.
Philippines.
I
She is very
Yeah,
experienced, though. I would say I'm not her first client. So I would say that you could tell the difference. You could tell the difference between VAs who are contacting you who probably have not worked with a lot of consultants and things before versus those who
yes,
have. Conversation is totally different, even when they're
yes,
trying to sell you as a client. When they're trying to onboard you, you can even tell the difference. So she's Philippine
you're
based,
absolutely
which means we do
yes.
have to worry about the time barriers and everything because let's see, it's 2:23 Eastern Standard Time right now on a Monday. Well, that means it's 2:23 a.m. in the Philippines on Tuesday where she is.
Right.
So she's already into the
Yeah.
next workday, which means I got to be even more on top of my game.
Right, right, right. And the best way to work with any kind of assistant is for us as the business owner to know what we're looking for, because otherwise they're just floating and just doing what you're asking them to do. And you tell them, mention, you know specifically what you're looking for. So, for example, I as well use a virtual because
Mhm.
some of the virtual assistants from the speak and write English a lot better than a lot of Americans,
Yes.
unfortunately. But No matter how you slice it, it all depends on your experience and how you get along with them. And that's great. So that's really a great combination for small business owners to start off with before they grow their team. So when you come to your marketing, how do you excel? Do you hire a marketing team, or do you do your own research, or what are your steps?
Right now, I am doing my own research, but what I'm finding, Coach Stephanie, is I will probably soon be outsourcing that. So I have
Okay.
always done my own marketing, my own research. And a lot of that was because understanding who my niche was, those people who
Mm,
are probably moving out of 9 to 5s from 25 to maybe 45, 46 years of age, getting all of those demographics worked out and just knowing what the shifts are like in marketing and knowing the results that I need to build the community that I want. I've always held marketing near and dear to my heart, and it's about time for me to let that go because that'll be a huge. I think that'll be a huge next step to my growth because a lot of I repurpose a lot of my content, and I've found really, really ways to expedite, how I create my content. So I could do it like Ti says, kind of now expeditiously, but it still does take quite a bit of time
yeah.
for me to create the majority of that content and to really map out how I want that to work with my funnel. So I think one of the next major steps in my business journey will be outsourcing to a marketing team, which is definitely it's not an expense that you want to play around with because marketing teams get really expensive. So I
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
I've got my ducks in a row for it. It's just crossing that bridge and making the investment, which right now I don't think the expense worries me more than just, are you going to screw with my community base at this time? like, like
Right.
don't
That
mess
is so
up
true.
the community that's established. So I got
Yes.
a fear that I'm dealing with right there, but I'm gonna do like I teach my clients and feel the fear and do it anyway because I know it's gonna
Yes.
take me the
Yes.
next level up. But yeah, I'm handling my marketing, but I truly do want to release it and let it go.
Well, you're doing a great job. I just want to mention that. And as you're
Thank you.
speaking, it does take quite an investment when it comes to hiring a marketing team, as
Yes.
opposed to trying to do everything else on your own. You really need that because you are the talent, and you need time to do what you do and allow the marketing team to just put you out there on Broad Street. But again, you're doing very well with just you and your virtual assistant. Now, when it
Thank
comes
you.
to, because you mentioned, you're welcome, you mentioned narrowing your niche. Now, how does a person know how to find their niche? Because people like to say, oh, this is a one size fits all, and I can do everything for everyone. And it just doesn't work like that. So, how did you find
It
your
doesn't.
niche?
It doesn't. You know what? You are such an amazing coach to even ask these questions, and I can tell because it is so. And I know you're a coach too, so I know you've heard it plenty of times. Like I want to help everybody, right? I want to help everybody. And I got a blanket product that everybody's going to want. And I'm like, you're going to say that and you're going to put it out there and nobody's going to buy it because it's not specifically catering to people who would
Yes.
actually need it. Well, everybody needs it. No, they don't. Your desire for them as a business owner is that your desire says, and our zeal says, we're excited about something when we first create it, right? Like we love it, it's great. We know what it took to put into it to build it. But a lot of times, as those, we have a creator mindset and we don't have a customer centric mindset. And so we aren't thinking about what people actually need and how we even shop as customers. We get stuck on a business owner mindset where we think everybody wants, so I'm gonna make a lot of money from it. So that happened to me sadly when I first started my coaching business 11 years ago. And I was thinking, every doctor is gonna need a consultant. Everybody needs someone in there helping them run their office and telling them what to do until I hired my first business coach And she listened to my story and she told me, she said, "You're not going to sell to anyone. I hate to tell you." And she said, "But that's the way I need to tell you, because if I don't come out and say it candidly, then you won't get it." And so we went through this
Right.
entire process of, what am I actually offering? And I think that's the question that a lot of entrepreneurs need to answer in order to understand how to niche down. What is it that you're offering? What solution does it provide to a specific set or subset of people? And once you can define that, what does your product or service really do as far as producing a solution? And think about who is going to need that sort of solution. And I promise you, it's not going to be everyone when you start thinking about it in those terms. It may just be women, it may just be men, it may just be children, it may be women who are approaching retirement age, it may be men who are anywhere from 20 to 35 years old. But that's when you really start narrowing down. If you look at me, for a good example was, people who are starting new businesses are typically not over the age of 55. Typically not. And that age has gotten younger because Gen Z is now tapping into a whole nother workforce development type. Their workforce, it's not going to be as traditional, as it's going to be unheard of what Gen Z is walking into. But so now you're looking at taking, 20, 22, 23 year olds into a range of maybe about 40 to 45 of those millennials, of, like to call it, like I call myself, a geriatric millennial. You're taking those geriatric millennials and they're still saying, "Hey, I can start this business, I can open it." So, and that's what helped me narrow down my niche. And so, but it takes research, right? It takes that research and development. It takes looking up the data. It takes sitting down, with Google and using their persona platforms to map out and plan out, this is who's starting this. This is who is interested in that. So it just takes the research and development to put behind it. But I would say start with knowing what products and services you're offering, what solutions they're actually going to provide as a finished product, what's the deliverable, who can benefit most from that deliverable. And once you've answered that question, then you've pretty much gotten what your niche is going to be and who your target audience is going to be.
Yes. Wow. That's great. And so you as well, you're sounding like you have a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding about the business industry. So how did you come across the name Business Coach C?
Biz Coach C. So I got stuck on Biz Coach C after years of following behind the name of my organization, which was the name of my business has always, it still is, and it always will be, I believe, anyway, C. Ellis Management, LLC. And so when I started out 11 years ago, just as a manager in healthcare, that's what I pictured myself continuing to do. Well, management and
Yeah.
operations expanded far beyond healthcare, like I explained. So I am still C. Ellis Management by trade and on paper. But the more I dive into my community, I realize that the management started to become a disconnect with my community, and they started limiting me to managerial operations within an organization. And my community was not necessarily associating me with consulting and startup coaching. And so literally using AI for some suggestions of just a short nickname that I could select for myself that would help people associate to what I was actually tapping into and providing in my industry, so that it would be recognizable on social media platforms. And so people would instantly connect my name or title with what it is that I was providing as a service. I made the switch over to Biz Coach C. So you'll see my handle and my website and email address, all of that will still say C. Ellis MGMT. But once you access my platforms and you begin looking at the names that I have on my platforms, it'll actually say Biz Coach C. But It was a change that I recognized that I needed to make to better connect with my community so they would understand that I'm not just limited to managerial operations within an organization, but I actually am a business coach that can help you take, that deeper dive into your business. Took me a little while to do that though, because I didn't want to tell I didn't want to put startup coach in there completely, because sometimes when you put startup, people think that it's before you start the business and it's not going to go any further than that. Sometimes people don't know exactly how to compare, or at least put into perspective what startup means in terms of time. And so I make sure I just say business coach or consultant, but biz coach C sounded a lot more comfortable than biz consultancy. So I've gone with biz coach.
Okay. All right. So this was very interesting. I really appreciate all of the answers that you've given towards my questions, but I want to know, how can people find you?
Thank you, Coach Stephanie. I've had the time of my life. Also, I appreciate you having me on today. If anyone would like to reach me, I am on all major social media platforms. The handle is at CLSMGMT. That's at CELLISMGMT. And so is the website is clsmgmt.com. Right now, you can sign up for any of my group coaching programs. For individual coaching services, there are digital products available on my website as downloads that you can use to help you start your businesses. So I also have free guides and free tools, free trainings available on my website. So visit my website, visit me on any major social media outlet, sign up for my newsletter, and I would love to work with you.
Well, thank you so much, and I would love to have you come back in a couple of months, and so we can just catch up and see what's going on. Okay?
Sounds great. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. You're an amazing coach. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. You as well. So I hope you all enjoyed this conversation. I mean, I've definitely learned some things, because it's always great as a coach to hear another coach, because everyone needs a coach. As far as I'm concerned, everyone needs to learn how to stay on top of their game. And you can't just listen to yourself. You need to be able to bounce off your ideas with other experts. So, again, thank you all for joining Beyond Boardroom Business with your host, Coach Stephanie. And I look forward to seeing you all. And please feel free to send me your questions or comments. And please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to Beyond Boardroom Business. Again, with your host, Coach Stephanie. And thank you all. Look forward to seeing you all next week at the same time. And until then, stay prayerful, stay patient, and stay persistent. Thank you all. Now, hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful evening.